Hey guys, what's up? It is October 4th, 2021. The year has officially flown by. It was definitely going along a lot slower at the beginning. I think it usually does when you're starting to get things done and being productive, and then the summer happens and it's over. So quarter 3 is over. We are now just at the starting line of quarter 4. So in this video, I'm primarily going to focus on my edits for Tower of Dogs, but since it kind of is tying into everything that happened in quarter 3, what's going to happen in this quarter, I might as well recap that. Let me grab this calendar. During quarter 3, not to say I was in a slump, but I was definitely a lot less productive. I had more days, even I think a couple weeks at a time, where I was doing minimal work on things and a lot of my brain power was non-existent. So July and August, moderately productive, but nothing like I had planned, which is why I try to plan bigger than I need to. The primary reason for that was I had my book sent out to my beta readers for, my Tower of Dogs was sent out to my beta readers, and I had about 25 to 30 people say, yeah, I'll read your book. And yeah, not the most reliable group. A lot of them, I give them credit, it was like mostly friends and coworkers who are interested in the fantasy genre, are interested in my work, but at the same time, I'm like, you're busy, like I can give you an extension, or just like let me know if you're making progress. And life got in the way for a lot of people, which is totally understandable, but I did have at least I think as of yesterday I had 7 people complete the book and give me feedback. I've pretty much gotten the same general feedback from most of those 7, so I already know what I need to fix moving forward. So really quick, September was decently productive. Not as productive as it looks, because I had like all of these little daily goals written down. Overall, I did complete my patch illustrations for quarter 3. In September alone, I added 25,000 words to my manuscript for book 2, which got me to a total of 40,000. Yeah, just over 40,000, which is actually really, really good, since I think my goal for the quarter was 50, 60-ish. And I know after January or July and August didn't go well, that wasn't going to happen, but hitting 40 was definitely very satisfying. So I think we can probably talk about goals later. This, which is my proof copy from Amazon, is coming out. Planned release date of January 11th, 2022. The editor that I selected is taking the book October 19th. With my beta reader feedback, I am reading through, and I don't know if you can see it in this bright light. Maybe if I flip better that way. But we got some highlights here and there. And those are, and that's me editing draft 4 going into draft 5. These edits that I'm doing right now are adding in descriptions where needed. Oddly enough, seeing it in print versus seeing it on the computer, I'm able to see where I have echoes. So using the same word multiple times in close proximity, or just seeing it in context. Sometimes the phrase doesn't quite make as much sense as it could. But it's also been a while since I've read this in depth with full concentration. So I'm actually reading scenes and reading dialogue with a very fresh mindset, because I can't remember exactly how. I know the general trail of events, but I'm not going to remember word for word. So I'm noticing, I could change the way I phrase that, or I could add a dialogue tag there to make that more clear. And that's primarily what I'm doing right now. I'm about to go into chapter 10, which is a 4th through the book. Does that about look right? A 4th? Because there's 39 chapters. So big primary goal is going through that, editing to the best of my abilities, and then getting it to the editor. I'm going to learn a lot. That's why I decided I needed to get the editor. So going over changes and then going over formatting again. I don't think I went over it with you guys, but I had a fun couple days working out my formatting, so I have to do that again, as well as looking at Amazon. I think I'm also going to look at Barnes & Noble's and Draft to Digital. Need to do a little bit more research on those, but I think that will kind of give me a wider audience. So, and then spamming and promoting and all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's a bit to do. I felt very ahead in June when I finished draft 4, and now I'm feeling the pressure, even though I have like 3 months, because I want it to be done and the best it can be. Right now I'm just gonna keep working on these edits. If you guys have any questions about my editing process, like exactly what I look for when I'm going through edits, which I think at each draft I go through a different phase. So I'll kind of say them briefly. If you want me to expand on it, let me know. In this case, the first draft of this book was a mess. It was very focused on Sparrow and not enough on Rome. So in draft 2, I essentially wrote it with the mindset of keeping them as like 2 separate books and then coming together in the 3rd book. I got about halfway through writing on Rome's side because I really needed to develop his story arc. Then I realized, yes, I do need my dual POVs. So that turned into draft 3, where I went back to writing alternate chapters. Sparrow's didn't change too much as far as her story arc, but sort of the actual events and the scenes had changed just to make things more clear, kind of reestablish the world a bit better. And then we finally reached Rome's ending. So draft 3 is really the draft that I had from beginning to end. I knew what the story was doing. I knew where it was going. Draft 4, so editing draft 3 to create draft 4, it was really looking at developmental edits, making sure characters stayed in character, making sure all the events happened for a reason and they made sense, general clarity, as well as finding a way to summarize up and like tie off strings for book 1, but also create a decent ending to lead into book 2. So it wasn't just a cliffhanger, which I am a very big fan of, but I did not do that so much for book 1, I don't think. So that's where we left with draft 4. I was super happy with it. That's when I went and I found my editor, got my beta readers. So then, yeah, draft 5 is just me as the editor with my editing glasses. So these are my editing glasses. So we're gonna tell me what I did wrong. That's where I'm at. I'm really just tidying up grammar best that I can, adding in descriptions, trying to make the story as clear as possible. So for now, we're just gonna work on the writing. So yeah, let me start that over. Hey guys, welcome back to another part of this editing journey. Initially I was thinking that part 2 would kind of cover everything from when I get the book back from the editor, but I did get a few questions and I wanted to kind of expand on leading up to this point with my edits. So the first question I got was, how did I find my editor? And I feel like that's the best place to start because that's kind of how all of this is happening. I've been watching AuthorTube for maybe a little over a year, maybe almost 2 years now. I feel like it was either early 2020 or late 2019 when I really started watching other YouTubers talking about writing and whatnot. So thanks to that, I did find a couple who were also freelance editors, and it was kind of a like, let's see if these two, like, they talk about it, they're really serious about it. I followed them for over a year. Let's see if they are willing to have the time and would be a reasonable price for me to do, to work with them. So I sent a request to 2 of those, and then I also asked an editor who worked with Stephanie on her books, as well as a local one I knew from the she's from the writing workshop in my city, and she actually, I believe, started it. So I emailed all of them asking for just a quote based on my word count and their scheduling availabilities. Since this was June when I sent it out, I wanted the book edited October, November. That way I would have November, December to finalize the format, order proofs, etc., which is the schedule that I'm on right now, as you can probably tell. Unfortunately, their scheduling was not going to work for an editor. They were already booked like almost to the end of the year. I think we were pushing like late November, December maybe. And so it was just a little bit too close to my deadline that I was like, no, I'm sorry. Thank you though for the reply. Katie got back to me the next day. So while I was waiting for the reply from Enchanted Ink, the local editor got back to me, and her rates were so high. I was just asking for copy edits, as I figured my developmental stuff was all done in draft 3. I was very confident with it. I just wanted grammar and sort of word working things. But she doesn't necessarily do just copy editing because she'll provide all the other feedback. So she does like an all-inclusive edit. And unfortunately, that was way out of my price range. Like, way too much for a book that I don't necessarily have a following for. I'm not going to make that money back for a while. Like, I can't. Thank you, though. So the last 2, it was, her name was Zoe. She was great. I sent Zoe and Katie both editing, I think it was 500 or 1,000 words for a sample edit. And I got it back from both of them. Katie's schedule ended up working out the best for me. She was available in October, whereas Zoe was a bit busier and her rates were like prorated to, like if you wanted it done sooner, it would cost more. So it wasn't ideal. So I did decide to use Katie as my editor, and I'm very excited to send it to her in like 11 days. So I'm getting these edits done. So that's who my editor is, and that's how I found her, and she's great. Moving on. So what have I done so far? Let's kind of look-see. That is what I've done so far. This book, let's look at it together. Let me flip you around actually. So this book's total word count was about 112,000, and the page count was 439 was the last page. I did print this initial one in 12-point font, and I have been going to town with my edits. Initially, I was just sticking to using a highlighter so I could highlight something that sounded weird, or if I had word echoes. So here I have orange and orange in the same sentence, so I'm going to see if I can just reword that a little bit. And that's essentially killed my highlighter. So I think the second half of the book, I might just use my red pen because I have a million of them. Basically what I've been doing, like I said, finding the word echoes. Here I have a tendency to do a lot of short sentences. So like, the ice slowed his step to a crawl. His unsteady legs resembled an infant trying to walk for the first time. I can put those 2 sentences together. Now I don't want to do that for all my sentences, so I've kind of, as I'm reading through, seeing where it makes the most sense to kind of change the sentence structure to give me a little more sentence variance. Also looking at words that if I necessarily don't need them, can I cut those since I've had to add some more descriptions and up that word count. Okay, so like on this one, there's kind of all these lines going around, and it was something that I probably wouldn't have noticed if I was looking on a screen, but moving sections of the text around to make the flow a little better, make things reveal in a more smooth way, because there's a couple, I don't think this is the example, but where I would have a sentence that was showing what I just told, and I was like, oh, I either don't need that, or I can reword it, or something, or I can move, or I can add something there, like all these different things. And just dialogue tags here and there. One of the comments I got from my beta readers was they needed some extra dialogue tags, and I'm like, sure, let's do that. We can add some of those. Here's just the paragraph, moving that around. So little things like that that I can now recognize, since I have not read this whole book probably since June, July. So that being said, not having read all of these pages word for word in 2 to 3 months, I'm looking at it with a fresher eye. I'm able to see these things and make more edits that aren't typos. I did find a few typos, more so than my beta readers did, so good thing I read this. And a couple inconsistencies with directions going right and going left. It's been a really good experience, but this is draft 4 going to be draft 5. So I've read this book at least that many times. The story itself, I'm not having trouble rereading, as I'm still enjoying it, still finding parts to tweak a little. It's when I highlight in the book and then I come back to my document and I have to go through and actually use my brain to fix the things that it's like, oh my god, this is work. So yeah, I'm currently page 254 of the 440, let's just say 440. So I've got like 200 pages left and 9 days, plus other things I need to do. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit of pressure, so trying to get a lot done today. I was supposed to do it on my laptop. My laptop broke. Literally the shift key and then at least 3 keys on the keyboard, like the letters A, B, and N, don't work. No sensitivity, nothing. Which doesn't make sense because I had no trouble with it the last time. So I'm gonna need a new laptop very soon, unfortunately, much sooner than I hoped. But did I have any other questions about the edits? I think I kind of answered some as I was explaining like what I look for when I'm editing. How many drafts do I usually write? Well, this is being my first novel, so this is gonna be draft 5. But there's like draft 4, ABC, kind of, where I do like little edits through, and then I do little edits through, and then I do the big edit. So several drafts makes this book. And it's a nice big chunker. But that should get a little bit smaller. Maybe it'll be that. That's not very different. I think I might lose that much if I take it down to 11-point font instead of the 12-point. So we'll see. I have just finished all of the edits for draft 5. It is October 14th. My document is supposed to go to the editor either on the 19th or around then, so I made my deadline. Thank the Lord. I'm just so excited. I didn't have to do too many changes. A lot of them were combining the sentences, kind of like I showed you in the last clip, or some rephrasing. I did find more typos than were pointed out to me by my beta readers, so that was good. And then there were a couple very minor inconsistencies where it was a detail I had in an earlier draft, but that chapter had been revised and that detail wasn't there anymore, so I had to go back and put it in. So that's all taken care of. I really cannot wait to just get this back and finish it, format it, and be done. Like, it feels really good. I think each draft feels good when I finish it. This one, obviously, I'm like the most confident in because it's been scrubbed with like a fine-tooth comb. So very curious to see what my editor's gonna say and what her suggestions are gonna be. Very curious. But I'm gonna email her and send that out soon. In the meantime, I think I have 2 more pieces of artwork to do. Today's my day off, so I'm trying to get as much done as I can. Got 2 more pictures to do. And maybe if I finish the pictures and I still feel productive, I'll start working on the promos. That would be cool. I'll show you